I solemnly swear that I am up to no good.
That you have been accepted at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. This is platform 9 3/4. There's no such thing.
Anything off the trolley, dears?
Please join me in welcoming to the stage Mira Mina and Eduardo Lima, the creative geniuses behind the studio MinaLima.
Thank you very much.
Wow, what a reception. Thank you. It's kind of a delight to be invited to something like this when we've been staring at that logo for nearly 20 years, the Adobe one, not the Harry Potter one.
Yeah.
But actually, the two things are kind of synonymous for us because I guess we've sort of grown up learning about these apps and this software by virtue of having to work on the Harry Potter films. And perhaps if we'd not had that opportunity, we wouldn't have learned so much because we kind of had to learn on our feet.
Yeah, because we are from a generation that when we were in college, we didn't have computers. So the first time I worked with Photoshop and Illustrator was on a second Harry Potter film.
And really, I think for me, there's sort of, there's probably quite a lot of young people here, but actually the command cut and paste for us really was scissors and glue and the photocopier. And in fact, if we try and go through our files now for the work from the first film, there's very little that's been saved digitally because it really was an analog relationship that we had with the work. And kind of something that we've carried through, actually, because by having that analog experience, we kind of learned that it's really important to maintain that craft of being able to use your hands and marry it with the digital opportunities that mostly Photoshop, that's our sort of main go-to. But we absolutely couldn't, people often ask us, which do you prefer? And one could not exist without the other. And definitely, you probably saw in some of those little clips there, some of the handwork, anything that you see that's done with ink or aging has to be done with that original process. But you might wonder how we got here.
Yeah.
Give you a little.
When did you get your letter, Mira?
I got my letter in 2000 when no one really knew what that letter was. In fact, I had to design it. So it didn't even exist visually until I was asked to work on the first Harry Potter film. And we both were freelance designers, so we just took the next job that came along, and I think we were obviously very fortunate that it was this one. None of us across the production had any idea of what that franchise would become and what it would mean to both readers, film goers and designers, I think, because we've discovered that actually, as a design opportunity, it's really given us a fantastic scope in which to explore our creativity.
All the Harry Potter films were shot in Leavesden, just outside Watford. And we used to call Leavesden Studio a Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, because lots of people went there very young and learned through the Harry Potter films, because the Harry Potter films were very unique to have 8 films done back to back during 10 years in this country. And how it changed completely the film making in the UK as well. We are now one of the biggest countries producing films in the world. All the big productions are all being done here, from Marvel's, DC, Star Wars. So Harry Potter was very important to establish the UK as the place to go.
And even from a graphic design point of view, I'd done a couple of films as a graphic designer for props, which most of you will have seen graphic design in films over and over again, but perhaps didn't have an opportunity to completely understand that somebody had gone to the trouble of creating that menu or that newspaper or the signage on the street. And of course, the kind of content that Harry Potter had was so dependent on the visual references to drive the story. And I don't think we had any idea the kind of scope that would unravel. And that's really, I think, changed as well for young graphic designers, because I don't know, but I don't think that there is a course for it in universities at the moment and art schools. So perhaps isn't understood that it is a career option, and you should know that it is. We've gone from maybe a handful of people doing it to now having perhaps 100 or so individuals doing graphic design for film, really from contemporary films and TV right up to the much bigger fiction and historical pieces.
I think also the productions realize now that graphics should be done by graphic designers, not someone that is from the art department that can do things. It needs to be someone that understands about typeface and layout. It's very important to get things right.
And can geek.
And
can
geek, yeah. You need to be very geek about typeface and textures and paper.
And actually, that's kind of central to our work is typography. And whilst neither of us studied specifically typography, we hope we're doing the right thing in the work by trying to describe a situation or historical style or a personality, even in a fictional environment like the magical world, through the choice of typography. And that might be, for those of you that know it, the Daily Prophet becoming a very sort of dictatorship type communication through the use of Russian constructivist style fonts, which some of them we designed, and a lot of them, we actually use typography in a very image way, because on film, of course, we're faking everything, so we don't have to worry about whether something needs to be translated or typeset. We can scan as many old fonts as we want, which we do a lot, and use those as images. So we're working a lot with typography as pixels, not as editable fonts.
And that gets us in trouble because of mistakes.
Oh, yeah, you may have noticed some spelling mistakes in those, but it was very quick. We always have we're blessed with very fast editing. So, yes, quite often, I think what Eduardo meant was that quite often we get so distracted, and I'm sure you all have this as well, where you get so kind of distracted by the form and the shapes of your typography and your layout, that you just cannot see the spelling. It's just form. So yeah, we did get into trouble. You saw that scene with all the proclamations falling down. I think there were maybe 100 different proclamations, all designed, with quite a few spelling mistakes.
They have to reshoot it.
but really central to, you know, apart from the typography, it's also absolutely vital that we understand what's happened before that moment. So if we're doing the proclamations or the Daily Prophet, we need to understand what happened before that 1 second that you're going to see it on screen. And it's that makes our job interesting, because it might mean we have to do a lot of research, or just understand the character who's got that prop.
So we can be all the characters in the film for a little bit. So some days we can be Umbridge, the next day Professor McGonagall and Dumbledore, because it's what Mira is saying. We need to be the character to design those graphics for them.
When you saw the Weasley joke shop, we can't be Mira and Eduardo designing that work. It needs to be
Fred and George,
two teenage wizards who probably don't have much idea about design, and so you kind of have to throw the rules out a little bit and get into that character. If I'm writing Snape's handwriting, I need to think, well, what kind of thought process would he have before he's going to make a mark on the paper? So all those things are all tied up with storytelling. I mean, that's the thing that connects them all, and the thing that we have a duty to try and describe through the visuals, and does keep it constantly interesting for us as a job, even if we're not working on a wizard film. We've worked on period films, for example, The Imitation Game.
Yeah.
Exactly the same decisions are having to be made about doing the right kind of research to find the right paper and the right typewriter font, or the crayons that we use to mark the documents. Because if we don't understand how the authenticity is, then you won't as an audience. So we're all the time trying to create a complete authenticity, whether it's a recreating of a real situation or a new fictional one. But
our journey on the wizarding world has been 18 years for Mira. Mira is one of the few ones that has been
veteran.
All the films. I joined her on a second film, and has been absolutely incredible how it changed completely, as I said before, the filmmaking in London especially, but how it kind of brought lots of people together. I moved from Brazil in 2001 and met Mira. She's my best friend now. We have a studio, we have a shop, and but sometimes it's like unbelievable that all this has been happening, and the wizard world now is getting stronger and stronger, and with Fantastic Beasts, that's going to be 5 films. We just released the second one,
But it's also given us a kind of springboard to develop other ideas, and I think the sum of our parts, we always feel, is greater than had we carried on working as 2 individuals in the film industry. And when we left Harry Potter, we kind of joked about having a studio without actually having a clue about what you do to set up a studio, except that our experience of working in film perhaps had given us an innate understanding of working with other people and a little bit of management. And we've gone from, in 2010, sorry, it's been a long time, when we finished the Harry Potter films, to with 1 assistant in our studio. We now have about 14 people. So we've had a very sort of exponential growth, but that's partly because the reason we started this studio was to be able to take on different kinds of projects and expand our creative combination, our relationship, beyond just the film work. And we sort of jumped into publishing and were able to get good relationships with publishers so that we could work on our own IP and our own ideas. And that's been really important as well as creatives, I think, to be able to share these ideas with other younger designers, brilliant designers who work with us, and expand what we've learnt on the Harry Potter films for our own product and our own produce.
But what's funny, when we finished the last Harry Potter film, we thought that was it. Okay, Harry Potter, thank you very much. But no, we designed...
Won't go away.
and they never let us go anywhere. And so during 3 years, we designed all the graphics for the theme park in Orlando, the Diagon Alley. Again, people always ask us, are you not bored to work with the Wizarding World, with Harry Potter? It's too many years of your life. And not at all, because it's one of the most famous franchises in the world. And also, every time there is a new challenge. Like, we never designed anything for a theme park before. And to have that challenge to design all the graphics element for that was incredible. And now with Fantastic Beasts, we are all back again. And lots of the same people that work on the Harry Potter films. And it's a completely different environment. We are in 1920s, so it's much interesting for us to recreate a Muggle world in 1920s than a Muggle world that is just how it is outside.
And of course, it's also really satisfying we've experienced this by interacting quite a lot with the Harry Potter fraternity, either at meetings, but also by having our own gallery and shop. And to know that the work, I think across the whole set design, but specifically meeting young graphic designers, or any age actually, doesn't matter. If we've inspired like one person or two people to make that choice for their career, then that's been incredibly rewarding, because I think in another life we probably would have wanted to be teachers, and we just don't have time to do that. But it's good to know that people feel that there are still opportunities, and we think there are. And it's true that the film industry can be quite impenetrable, and it seems so, but there is plenty of work for doing graphic design for film, and it should be known, it should be taught. When we have time, we will do it.
I remember when I moved to London in 2001, there was just 4 people doing graphics for film, and Mira was one of those people. Now we have over 250 people, and they are all working, they are all busy. And we even set up a union, the graphics union, that anyone can check online, and it's more like a database of who works in films, and if you wanted to work in films, you can put a message there as well. And it has been incredible, because before everyone was kind of very protective of their work, and now everyone is helping each other. And I think it's a little bit like a cloud, like the Adobe cloud. I think it's the graphics union cloud as well, because now we have this place that we can go and help each other and download things that...
Maybe we need to change the name of it. The graphics cloud. Is that allowed from Adobe? Is that allowed? So I don't know how we are for time. So yeah, that last message was really just to sort of say, don't be frightened to leap in, and find the bit that you like, because it's people often ask us, sort of how do I develop which bit, but we've found the niche that we like, which is to try and recreate worlds that don't exist through doing research, but inventing a new language, visual language, where possible. And we've managed to be employed to do that somehow, and keep being employed. So I think for example, if we were to do a modern film, we probably wouldn't be very good at it. So I think it's really central to sort of find the thing that you're good at and that you love and that makes you tick, even if it's kind of a weird thing, and to follow it. So go for it.
I just watching Rufus talking before, I'm really excited about the Adobe fonts. I think it's going to be amazing.
We're supposed to be going back to the studio tomorrow, reporting on the things that we just saw, but I think our brains are a little oversaturated with all the commands. And actually, funnily enough, a little aside is that we, an Adobe aside, is for a long time we tried, when we set up our studio, we tried to come up with a clever name for our company, and we thought maybe we could take one of the Photoshop commands, and that would be kind of cool, but they were so bad for the business, not as command. I think we just about came up with merge, but it just It just did. And then
Merge graphics.
And we kept sort of trying to answer the phone with all these different commands. Yeah, you know. But in the end, someone pointed out that our surnames.
Rasterized graphics. How can I help you?
Yeah, someone pointed out that our names worked quite well together, and that was the beginning of a really amazing union. And if you ever find anyone you work really well with, even if it's just in a completely different field, just stick with it.